I just got three things to say. God bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your engine!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. David Garman, Richie Joplin on the front row. Mark Nelson, Michael Whiting on the second row. Albie Hewins and Jeff Hinkle have the third row. Michael Dow and Stephen Gibson on the fourth. Gerald Thanos Poole and Richie West round out the top 10. Mike Smith starts in 11th next to Graham Nucky in 12th. Aaron Mason starting in 13th. Kyle Holden in 14th. DJ Kenner in 15th. Rick Sargent starting in 16th. Donald Durant in 17th. And Blake Lawrence listed in 18th is actually in race control. $130 laps here tonight. Competition caution will be lap 43. All the drivers getting gridded up, ready to go. We mentioned it in pre-race. We'll get a quick look. Donald Durant, solid black car tonight with black numbers, making it way harder for them to find him for a penalty. At least that's his theory once the sun goes down. Drivers begin to roll off the grid. And Donald Durant's stealth mode car, little slow off the line as they come around. Down the back straightaway of this 1 1/4 mile track. Through turns 3 and 4, David Garman, Richie Joplin on the front row. Hayes car drops in out of turn 4. David Garman out front. Here we go. Green flag is in the air. They are down and away at Gateway. And the drag race into turn 1 is on. And David Garman on the bottom pulls clear into the lead out of turn 2. A lot of drivers talking about the car was slick on cold tires. Looks like a few of them taking it easy here in the early going, getting some heat into them. Gerald Poole is loose, back behind, no caution. Donald Durant went off track as well, no caution there. See if we can see what happened to Thanos. Here he is coming out of turn 2 down the back straightaway. Trying to get a run down on the bottom to the inside of Graham Nucky. Goes off into 3, just snaps loose. Down on the bottom, slides up. Everybody gets by clean. Donald Durant was trying to make a move on. Albie Hewins got loose. DJ the Iceman Kenner off into 3, right behind Rick Sargent gets loose. We saw a lot of loose race cars in practice on corner exit. This is the first we are seeing of loose race cars on corner entry. Stephen Gibson back in 5th, already up 3 spots. The fastest lap of the night so far goes to him. Richie West also up 3 spots into 7th. Graham Nucky, the Aussie, up 4 spots into 8th. Kyle Holden up 5 spots into 9th. Rick Sargent also managing to avoid the chaos at the back, up 4 spots into 12th. David Garman was the fastest in practice, was the fastest in qualifying, and appears to be the fastest here in the race. But last time by, Richie Joplin had the fastest lap of the night. Richie has found some speed. He did say coming into the night he hated this track, but he said that a lot lately, and every track he hates, he gets a podium on. Much like we have talked about with AJ Gotze in seasons past here, when he says he is struggling, everybody else is racing for second. Speaking of AJ, just a couple weeks into the season, AJ already leading the points this season, not here tonight. We'll have to use a drop race. Brandon Springer in second. Mike Smith comes in tonight third in points, currently running in 11th on the back bumper of Michael Dow. Graham Nucky in the Red Bull car. Great to see the Australian back out here tonight. Donald Durant's has had another problem. There is Durant's coming out of 4, gets loose, ouch, smacks the outside wall, goes down through the grass, manages to get the car back up on track. Durant has already taken that car to pit road. His stealth mode working a little too well. Gourmets already has a 6/10 of a second lead over Richie Joplin. They have almost a full second now on Mark Nelson and Michael Whiting. Stephen Gibson up to 5th, Hinkle in 6th, Graham Nucky now to 7th, but Graham a little bit of a blink. Kyle Holden now up to 8th, Richie West in 9th, Mike Smith has now moved into the top 10. Mike started the season off with his first ever BRR win at Daytona. A very long overdue win for Mike. Stephen Gibson back in 5th, losing ground on the 4 cars ahead of him. Jeff Hinkle, though, no surprise, back in 6th, is starting to reel. Gibson and everybody ahead in just a little bit as everybody tries to run down. They will have enough fuel to run to the comp caution at lap 43. If we do not see a caution before then, keep an eye on that 23 car. Richie West still back in 10th, lurking behind Mike Smith. Mike just now moving up into 9th. Sets his sights on Kyle Holden and Graham Nucky. Holden is closing the gap on Nucky now. Holden in 8th place, less than half a second behind Graham. Tinker cheering on Donnie Durant, who has had a rough start to the night. Put his car in stealth mode so that he wouldn't get any penalties tonight. But it has caused other problems. He is definitely not up to speed. And it looks like he's coming back to pit road. That was unexpected. Durant is back on pit road. That's going to put him a few more laps down here in the early going. A heartbreak. Richie Joplin, meanwhile, is caught up to the leader, David Gorman. The top 5 starting to close back up. Graham Nucky starting to reel in Jeff Hinkle as well, and Kyle Holden right behind Nucky. Jeff Hinkle is the king of tire saving, as we have talked about for years. This is the kind of race he will excel at. Let's take a lap with him and see if he is doing any shifting here tonight. He definitely is up to 4th gear down the front straightaway. Right on the rev limiter, down to 3rd and 1 and 2. Midway through, back on the power and back to 4th gear. Not even using 5th gear here tonight, just 3rd and 4th. And it seems to be working well for him as he reels in Stephen Gibson. As Richie Joplin is going for it here out of turn 2. Richie Joplin to the lead. First lead change of the night. Richie Joplin takes it. Donald Durant is back out on track. David Gorman in 2nd. Mark Nelson now in 3rd. Right behind him, Michael Whiting is there. Stephen Gibson is almost there. Garmy staying right in the tire tracks of Richie Joplin. Mark Nelson right there, right behind him, and it does sound like a vast majority of the drivers are shifting. Hey, good evening, JR. Good evening, Kevin. Stephen Gibson was gaining ground on the top four, has now slipped back just a little bit. Michael Whiting in fourth, though, is closing back up on Mark Nelson in third. The top four less than 1.5 seconds apart at the moment. Richie Joplin, David Garman, Mark Nelson, and Mike Whiting. Stephen Gibson now 2 seconds behind. Jeff Hinkle still holds on to 6. Kyle Holden is closing in on Hinkle in 7th after having gone past Graham Nucky in 8th. Richie West now back up into 9th, and Mike Smith still holds on to 10th. Albie now in 11th. Gerald Poole drifting back to 12th. Rick Surgeon up 3 spots now into 13th. Michael Dow in 14th. DJ the Iceman Kenner in 15th. Aaron Mason in 16th. And Donald Durant is around on the back straightaway. Donald Durant has had nothing but problems here tonight. Loose out of 2. Snaps loose down to the inside wall as the leaders come up behind. He did get the car rolling again, but a heartbreak for Durant. Garman still all over the back bumper. Graham Nucky has come to pit road. That is an unexpected stop. Interesting strategy move. They will have a comp caution at lap 43. Nucky in his pit stall. Looks like 4 tires and fuel. Richie Joplin, though, unable to get away from David Garman. Mark Nelson in 3rd, being cheered on by the Unicorn. Worth noting, Mark Nelson, for good luck, is wearing one of the HTSAI Unicorn Trucking t-shirts tonight. And it's obviously bringing him good luck. He hates this track, but he's running in 3rd, holding off Michael Whiting for the moment. Stephen Gibson has found some momentum. He is starting to pull back up toward Michael Whiting. Graham Nucky is still on pit road. Did he get a speeding penalty? Something is horribly wrong with Graham Nucky here tonight. The top two settling back into a rhythm, have pulled away from third place Mark Nelson, fourth place Michael Whiting, but fifth place Stephen Gibson is faster than everybody in the top four. And surprisingly, Jeff Hinkle is losing ground. He is now back in seventh. Richie West has had a problem back behind. Richie coming through 1 and 2, just gets loose under power. We have seen numerous cars getting loose out of turn 2. He quickly straightens her up, gets her back up on the track, but loses a ton of track position. As these tires wear, caution! Caution is out, lap 33. Donald Durant out of turn 2, gets loose, snaps down to the, hard hit. Durant does get moving again. I expect to see, despite being 10 laps shy of the comp caution, I fully expect to see everybody in pit road this time. Really surprised to see the caution come out on that. Do expect to see maybe 1 or 2 drivers try and stay out here, but highly unlikely. The tire wear has been so dramatic so far. Richie Joplin at the front. Is he going to lead him into pit? No! Richie West appears to be headed in. And he may be the only one coming in this time. He will definitely have a distinct advantage here. Graham Nucky still on pit road as well. Donald Durant did not come in, although I think he used his repair earlier on. Will we see anybody make that decision this time? Unlikely. Nobody went in on the first opportunity. So it will remain Richie Joplin, David Garman, Mark Nelson, Mike Whiting, and Kyle Holden, the top 5. Jeff Hinkle, Albie Ewens, Gerald Poole, Mike Smith, Rick Sargent, the top 10. Everybody trying to keep their tires warm and clean at the moment. this could cause some problems on the restart. Their tire wear is significant here. That means those tires are not going to have a lot of grip when they put the power down. We could see some tires spin and some cars go around on the restart. Tinker, I actually heard a lot of the drivers talking about how much they hated this track tonight. You're absolutely right. There could be quite a few more cautions before this one is done. Keep an eye on Richie West. He just completed, is the only driver out there on fresh tires. Oh, it does look like Steven Gibson also pitted. But they have a lot of traffic to navigate through here. 10 laps, less than 10 to the comp caution. 8 to go till that. Here we go. Green flag back in the air. Everybody back. Oh, a couple of bobbles under power. Richie on the bottom, Gourmets on the top. Who's going to clear out of turn 2? And it'll be Richie Joplin back to the lead. David Gorman in second. Mark Nelson trying to hold on to third, but Michael Whiting up on the high side through 3 and 4. And Kyle Holden right on the bumper. Mark Nelson shoots it deep into 1 and 2 and slides it up. He will clear back into 3. Caution is out. Steven Gibson involved. And admins may call this as the comp caution. We'll have to wait and see. Steven Gibson, remember, on fresh tires was ducking under, trying to... Whoa, that got really close. Looking down from the blimp, Gibson had already come through a lot of traffic, had to get hard on the brake to stay out of the back bumper of Mike Smith. A very, very close call. And here they come. It does look like this will be the comp caution. Everybody is on pit road for tires and fuel. Looks like Richie West and Steven Gibson both choosing to stay out. Having just got fresh tires, they may have just snookered the field. They have less than a lap on of use, a lap of green flag use on those tires. See if we can get a quick word with our new leader. Richie, it's Doug. You got me?
Yeah, I got you, brother.
Hey, did you just outsmart everybody?
Well, we'll see. It was a bold move for sure. Looks like that caution. I wasn't expecting that. Obviously, I was expecting to take my tires and stay out at the comp, but that played out a lot better into my hands than I possibly could have imagined. So we'll see here.
Well, half a lap on those tires, and now you've got everybody behind you. Steven Gibson on equal tires to you. It's going to be a dogfight from here.
Yeah, and to be totally honest, I mean, I was just coasting into the turn. I was just gonna do whatever I had to do to knock all that down. I wasn't putting any, wear or anything, no stress on anything.
Well, it definitely worked out perfectly, man. Great strategy. Hope it plays out good for you. Good luck.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Richie West now has the lead with Stephen Gibson alongside. Richie Joplin coming out in third, David Garman in fourth, Mark Nelson in fifth, Michael Whiting, Kyle Holden, Gerald Poole, Jeff Hinkle, and Albie Ewens round out your top 10. Rick Sargent, DJ Kenner, Michael Dow, Aaron Mason, Mike Smith round out the top 15 cars. Donald Durant is out of the race. Graham Nucky still on pit road. Tanya, he can't say that live because he still owes me 10 grand for the last time he said something like that live. There's a $10,000 fine for that word. He's already used it a couple times during the broadcast, so, Lights are out on the pace car. They are ready to go green. Everybody stacked back up. The front two on a little bit older tires. Everybody else on brand new tires. Donald Durant's officially out of the race. Graham Nucky still sitting on pit road. All right, here we go. Pace car is in. Richie West in control of the restart. They're in the zone and green flag back in the air. Richie launches it like a missile heading toward turn one. Stephen Gibson right there with him. Gibson goes high into two. Richie holds him off for the moment. Now Richie Joplin, David Gorman battling side by side. Mark Nelson side by side with Kyle Holden. Every position up for grabs. And everybody doing battle at the moment. Garman and Joplin look like they were banging doors down the front stretch. Garman's in the wall. Richie made clear out of turn two, back into third. And Stephen Gibson slips by Richie West on the high side to take the lead. Mike Smith has had a problem back behind. Has recovered. David Gordon, despite hitting the wall, now under Richie West, takes second place. And here comes Kyle Holden, who started in 14th and is going for third. Holden now to third, Richie West in fourth, Richie Joplin in fifth. Mark Nelson has drifted back into sixth. Michael Whiting in seventh. Gerald Poole lurking right behind in eighth. And Jeff Hinkle in ninth. Stephen Gibson still has the lead for the moment, but David Gorman is closing back in. Kyle Holden also lurking right there, just about to the bumper of David Gorman. Richie Joplin has now moved up into fourth past Richie West. Mark Nelson right on Richie West's back bumper, down to the bottom into one. West still fighting back on the high side, manages to clear as they head off into three. DJ Kenner now up 4 spots into 11th. Rick Surgeon now up 4 spots into 12th. Aaron Mason right there with them in 13th. Gibson now has his hands full. Here comes Gorman and Holden. Gorman looked underneath, coming out of turn 3. Gibson shut the door down the front straightaway. Stephen Gibson holding that bottom line, making sure Gorman can't get under. Gonna make him go around the hard way on the high side. Richie Joplin is now caught back up to the top 3. He is back in the fight. And as they battle it out, Mark Nelson is gaining ground. Gorman looks to the bottom, down the front straightaway. Can he get the nose in into one? Holden goes to the high line in one. Oh, Garney gets loose. He is off in the grass, keeps it out of the wall. Quickly recovers, but loses a lot of ground. We mentioned Mike Smith had an incident on the restart. Coming through 3 and 4, got the nose too low through the grass there. Then Gorman, as they battle it out for the lead on the power, the back end just steps out. Great job by Garmy keeping it out of the wall. Kyle Holden, oh, contact into one as Holden tries to take the lead from Gibson. Now Gibson not only slammed the door, he slammed it right in Holden's face. Richie Joplin backing off just a little bit, expecting some chaos here. Holden now down to the bottom, has the run out of 4. Down into turn 1, Gibson gives him a little more room this time. Side by side out of 2, it's going to be a drag race down the backstretch. Advantage goes to Gibson on the high line. Holden shoots it deep into 3. Mark Nelson back and forth, reeling them all in. Kyle Holden nose ahead at the start-finish line back into turn 1. And Holden may pull it off this time. Kyle Holden to the lead for the first time here tonight. Holden started back in 14th, already to the lead. Stephen Gibson currently in 2nd, Richie Joplin in 3rd, Mark Nelson in 4th. But those top 3 battling has definitely helped Mark Nelson. They were having to use up their tires. Nelson back there cruising, closed the gap quickly. And he is the fastest car in the top 5 at the moment. Richie West still holding on to 5th. Michael Whiting in 6th. Albie Hewins now in 7th. Jeff Hinkle in 8th. DJ Kinner up to 9th. The Iceman starting to move toward the front. But look who's looking underneath the Iceman. Gorman back on the move. David Gorman goes underneath the Iceman, now back into 9th place. Sets his sights on Hinkle. Gorman has been the fastest car all night long. How far can he get back toward the front? Kyle Holden already has broken away a 1.6 second lead. Mark Nelson now into 2nd, Richie Joplin in 3rd, Stephen Gibson in 4th, Richie West in 5th. Mark Nelson in 2nd place, 1.5 seconds behind Holden. But remember, Holden was up there battling. Mark Nelson was just cruising. He seems to be reeling Holden in rather quickly. The gap now down to 1.4 seconds and closing. Richie Joplin, Stephen Gibson, Richie West all closing as well. It is worth noting everybody pitted around lap 40. They can go 50 to 55 laps on a tank of fuel. We'll see most of the drivers in between lap 85 and 90 for that final stop. And as we saw in that first run, after about 30 laps, the tires really start going away. That could be a problem for some of these guys. Kevin, you usually do really good here. I hate you're not here, buddy. David Gorman, who slipped battling for the lead, got loose and drifted all the way back as, whoa, they're going to try 3 wide down the back straightaway. Albie Hewins found a gap, took it, and went to 6th. What a move. Albie on his way forward as well. That also helped Gourmet. Caution is out. Caution is out, lap 64, and it looks like it may have been an issue with the Iceman. Backing this up just a little bit. All right, let's see what happened with DJ coming through 3 and 4 right behind Gorman. DJ gets loose, snaps right, finds Gerald Poole. And man, a rough hit and a rough ride for the Ice. Oh, Mike Smith finds him as well. Ouch. Kyle Holden choosing to stay out. Richie West choosing to stay out. Both of those are a bit of a surprise. They cannot go the distance from here on fuel. And it looks like Holden is coming in. Richie West is not coming to pit road. He outsmarted everybody last time, but I don't think this trick will work again. Richie has not been to pit road since lap 34. And we'll put Mark Nelson now into second place. Stephen Gibson into third. Albie Hewins fourth and Michael Whiting in fifth. Now the question is, does Richie West come in right now to get 4 tires? If not, he is going to be in serious trouble on the restart, and West is staying out. Richie West stays out again. He is on very old tires here. That could present problems on the restart. Gerald Poole back on pit road, likely topping off on fuel. Lights go out on the pace car. Richie West is on old tires. We saw that restart earlier in the race on lap 36, where a lot of drivers who had not taken tires had a little bit of a bobble. It's a bold strategy, Cotton. We'll see if it pays off. Mark Nelson on the high side has been one of the faster cars tonight. Speaking of fast cars, David Gorman still lurking, back in 11th. Not out of this one yet. Now this restart could tell the tale for the rest of the night. Here they come out of turn 4. Richie West in control. Green flag back in the air. Richie gets another perfect launch. How long can he hold it? Stephen Gibson manages to clear into second. Mark Nelson now back into third place. Albie Ewan's in fourth. Michael Whiting in fifth. How long can Richie West hold off everybody behind? DJ Kenner has had a problem. He turned to pit road. There will not be a caution. And Richie is in trouble. Gibson is there. Richie did say early on he was conserving his tires as much as possible. Out of 4, Gibson looks for a run, can't get there. The top 6 all still together. Rick Sargent now up 9 spots into 7th place. He's bringing Gorman with him. Gorman now in 8th, looking for 7th. Let's see what happened to the Iceman. DJ gets deep into 3. There was a lot of checking up. He gets hard on the brakes. Gerald Poole gets a little bit of it, but Iceman gets towed to pit road before the caution. Wow, that was a hard hit for DJ. Well, I will give Richie West this. It was a gutsy call to stay out. So far, it is paying off. He has been on those tires for 40 laps now. Oh! It just went wrong. He got loose out of turn 2. And he is dropping like a rock. Back to 7th. He is coming in. Richie West is coming to pit road. Stephen Gibson to the lead. Mark Nelson now to 2nd. Albie Ewens in 3rd. Richie Joplin now to 4th. Michael Whiting in 5th. Look who's found 6th. David Gorman on his way back toward the front. Kyle Holden now to 7th. Rick Sargent in 8th. Aaron Mason up to 9th now with Michael Dow in 10th. We're not going to look at Michael Dow's car too much. I want pizza now. And Mark Nelson looks underneath Stephen Gibson. He is going to take the lead through 1 and 2. Right behind that, Albie Ewens battles Richie Joplin for 3rd. Now Richie clears, looks for 2nd. Mark Nelson back in the lead. Gibson in 2nd. Richie Joplin in 3rd. Albie Ewens now in 4th. Michael Whiting in 5th. Gorman, though, in 6th. Gorman was fastest in practice, fastest in qualifying, and led the first 20-plus laps of this race. Oh! Gourmet almost got into the back bumper and Michael Whiting saves it, but he is loose in 1 and 2. Gorman, more problems in 1 and 2. He keeps going, but losing ground. A heartbreaking night for David Gorman. He drifts back to 10th. And I'm willing to bet right about now Gorman is driving angry, folks. Meanwhile, up front, Mark Nelson in the lead over Stephen Gibson, Richie Joplin, Albie Ewens, and Michael Whiting. Michael Whiting has had more close calls tonight than anybody else. I think half the field has just barely missed hitting him. Richie Joplin still looking for a way past Stephen Gibson for second. Oh, Richie may have kissed the wall out of 2. Lost a little bit of momentum there. Albie closing back up. David Gorman going back by Aaron Mason, already back up to 8th. Gourmet is driving really pissed off right now. Jeff Hinkle also back on the attack. Hinkle up to 10th, all over the back bumper of Aaron Mason in 9th. Also, just an interesting note, I do think that Richie West, who we saw have that problem from the lead, drifted back, went straight to pit road on lap 73. He is very, very close, but he is the closest, if this stays green, to being able to go the distance on fuel. With he is within 1 to 2 laps of going the distance on fuel. So Richie West definitely not out of this thing yet. Mark Nelson out front, 1 1/4 seconds over Gibson and Joplin. Aaron Mason has had a problem back behind. Aaron has recovered, and Richie Joplin now trying to take second from Stephen Gibson. It gets close through 1 and 2. Gibson all the way to the apron. They save it. Let's see what happened to Aaron. Oh, the same theme we have seen all night long. Loose in 1 and 2. Aaron, a hard hit to the inside wall. He has taken it to pit road. The exit of turn 2 has claimed many a victim tonight. Richie Joplin now in second, trying to close the gap on the Mark Nelson. Stephen Gibson still in third, but has Albie and Kyle Holden right there with him. Mike Smith has had a problem as Aaron Mason returns to the track. No caution. Mike Smith headed off, looks like into turn 3. Loose on the ball. He snaps up into the wall. Quickly gets it back down the track into the grass. No real significant damage. And gets the car rolling back out on track. A good recovery by Mike. Mark Nelson still out front, but Richie Joplin is closing in, as is Kyle Holden. Holden shoots to the bottom to take third. Albie Hewins right behind in fifth. Stephen Gibson now back to fourth. Garmin back up battling for, nope, that is Aaron Mason, a lap car going by Garmin on the high side. Garmin currently in 7th, trying to reel in Michael Whiting in 6th. Tires are really starting to go away. Rick Surgeon has had a problem. His car looks okay at the moment. Let's see what happened. Out of turn 2, loose through the grass. Boys, I think that section of grass has been mowed enough tonight. Kyle Holden has moved his way up into second place, having just gotten past Richie Joplin, and is now setting his sights on Mark Nelson 1 second ahead. But all of these drivers have to make one more stop. That could be a big deciding factor here. Rick Sargent managing to save that car, now up into 11th. Michael Dow in 10th. Gerald Poole now up into 9th, despite being caught up in numerous issues. Jeff Hinkle currently runs in 8th. Garmy now in 7th. Michael Whiting in 6th, and Albie Ewins in 5th. Stephen Gibson still holding on to 4th, right behind 3rd place Richie Joplin. Kyle Holden in 2nd has closed the gap on Mark Nelson in the lead. Oh, Holden a little loose out of 2. That is exactly what Mark wanted to see. Holden starting to get loose out of the turns. Will Holden be able to hold on to it this time? Out of turn 2, Richie Joplin Now right to his bumper. Holden kissing the wall out of 2. Richie and Steven have closed back up onto Kyle Holden. Richie may have a move here out of 2. He's got a bit of a run. And I have a sneaking suspicion Mark Nelson is not fully pushing that car until he has to. Here we go. Kyle Holden, where did he get the grip to drive it into turn 3? On the bottom, just shoots underneath Mark Nelson for the lead. Richie Joplin now looking underneath Mark Nelson for second place. Once Holden opened the door, it made it easy. Kyle Holden out front, already pulling away from Richie, and Steven Gibson will clear into third. Mark Nelson back to fourth. Albie Hewins currently running in 5th place. Michael Whiting in 6th. David Garman in 7th is starting to reel in. Whiting and Hewins once again. It'll be 30 to go next time by. And you have to wonder when the pit strategy will begin to play out. And who will be the first one in this top 4? And can somebody from further back make up enough ground on pit road to get back up into that top 5 fight? David Garman continuing to close on the cars ahead of him. Could he make up enough ground on pit road to get back into the fight? Back riding along with Kyle Holden, and it looks like Kyle is running in 4th gear all the way around. Will he be hitting 5th gear on the straight? Oh, nope, kissing the wall down the front straightaway, but back down to 3rd in 1 and 2. Pushing it right to the RPM limit, getting out of it, but not utilizing 5th gear, so not really conserving any fuel here to try and stretch it. Rick Sargent lurking back in 11th, has caught back up to Michael Dow in 10th. Rick had that off track out of turn 2 earlier, but recovered it very quickly. And until we see that final cycle of pit stops begin, there is no telling what is going to happen here. And again, there is that chance Richie West may have outsmarted everybody and could still pull off the rest of this race without a stop as Stephen Gibson is in. Gibson gives up third. He is on pit road, likely to see everybody in the next 2 laps. The difference in lap times, they are losing over a second. They're a second slower than on fresh tires. They cannot stay out very long on old tires. Stephen Gibson, the first one in, may be able to make up some ground. May be able to put himself in the perfect position. Gibson on his way out. Holden continuing to stay out. Richie continues to stay out. Mark continues to stay out. Albie is staying out. Michael Whiting, David Gorman, Jeff Hinkle. Stephen Gibson, though, in 11th, the freshest tires on the track at the moment. Oh, and they are too cold. He gets the inside wall. That is the downfall of fresh tires. They get cold, you get loose, you get the wall. Hey, good evening, Russell. 23 laps to go, waiting on final stops for all the lead lap cars. We know Kyle Holden likes to stretch it as far as possible. Those 2 cars behind him, Richie Joplin, Mark Nelson, and maybe Albie Hewins, if they can pit before him, might be able to take advantage of that. Everybody definitely looks like they are hoping for a late race caution here. Stephen Gibson, the only one that has come to pit road, and looks like his race is over. Kyle Holden's lead now 1.3 seconds over Richie. Mark Nelson 2 seconds back from Richie. Albie Hewins another 5.5 seconds back and forth with Michael Whiting right on his bumper in 5th. David Garman now in 6th, but he has lost some ground, 4.5 seconds back. The top 5 have not been in yet. Actually, none of the top 10 have been in. 10 cars left on the lead lap. Nobody has been to pit road since lap 66. The driver said 50 to 55 laps on a tank of fuel. Whoa, holding a bit squirrely out of 4. Richie Joplin has started reeling in Kyle Holden. Now 9/10 of a second back. Mark Nelson is also starting to reel them both in. But is it too late? Is Kyle's car starting to go away? Through 3 and 4, keeping a close eye on Kyle and how that car is handling as we watch Richie Joplin continue to reel him back in. Mark Nelson also slowly starting to chip away at the top. Oh no! Mark way out of shape out of 2. Great save. But he lost a lot of ground there. Lap traffic will come into play for the leaders. Michael Dow currently in 10th, just ahead of Kyle Holden in the lead. Mark Nelson lost quite a bit of ground on Richie after that incident coming out of turn 2 last time by. He is faster, but he is 2.4 seconds back. Albie Hewins and Michael Whiting still nose to tail, 4th and 5th. David Gorman in 6 has found another gear. He is starting to reel in almost everybody ahead. But 13 laps left to go. Does he have the time to fight back to the top 5? Looks like Holden has found some speed again. He has pulled back out to 1.7 on Richie. Still no pit stops. Due to the slower speeds, the slower lap times, could they be able to stretch that fuel to the finish? Back down through 3 and 4. This time by it will be 10 laps to go for Kyle Holden. 10 to go here at Gateway. He has a 2-second lead over Richie Joplin. Mark Nelson back in 3rd. Albie in 4th. Michael Whiting in 5th. David Garman currently in 6th, Jeff Hinkle in 7th, Gerald Poole, great comeback into 8th, Rick Surgeon up to 9th. And Rick may even close up on Gerald Thanos Poole. Michael Dow, currently the first car, 1 lap down in 10th. Richie West, despite his earlier incident, now up into 11th, battling with his teammate Mike Smith in 12th. Eight laps to go, still not seeing any pit stops. Kyle Holden's lead now 2.8 seconds over Richie Joplin. Mark Nelson in third, 2.8 seconds back from him. Albie Hewins, Michael Whiting still nose to tail, 4th and 5th. A great run for both drivers. David Gorman in 6th, still trying to reel him in, 2.5 seconds back. And Kevin, you're absolutely right. It is time to be very, very gentle with the throttle. Most of these guys we have seen slip at least once in the last little bit under power. They've got to be extremely careful here. 5 laps to go at Gateway. Rick Sargent is going to go up the track and let the leader by. Oh, this could get a little spicy. That did give Gerald a little bit of breathing room, but now Holden gets by him. Richie, though, unable to gain any ground in that incident. 4 laps to go for Kyle. Mark Nelson still reeling in. Richie Joplin. Albie Hewins, Michael Whiting still nose to tail. Garmin less than 2 seconds back. Hinkle not far behind him either. Three to go. Richie Joplin, almost 4 seconds behind the leader. Mark Nelson, almost 3 seconds behind Richie. These guys definitely hoping for a caution. Rick Sargent has taken 8th place from Gerald Poole. Another great comeback story here tonight. Down the back straightaway into 3 and 4. And out of turn 4, white flag is in the air one more time around for Kyle Holden. He has a 4.5 second lead over Richie Joplin. Richie has a 3-second gap on Mark Nelson, and down the back straightaway, Holden can coast it from here. The lap traffic will not come into play. He has cleared all he will have to. And out of turn 4, Kyle Holden is back in victory lane at Gateway. Richie Joplin pulls off second, and the Mark Nelson finishes third. And let's see if we can talk to our top 3. Mark, that was definitely a back and forth kind of night for you.
Yeah, that was an exhausting kind of night for me.
I'm sure coming into this race, knowing you and Richie do not like this track, for both of you to finish on the podium, that's a pretty good run.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm a little surprised myself. I think that it was just really hard to pass. I saw people that were running right along with me at the beginning of the race that were quite a ways back there. So I don't know if it was just they could not get by. It was so hard to pass.
Well, still another great race, another great start to the season, and man, awesome run tonight.
Thanks, Doug.
Obviously, the shirt brought you some luck.
Oh, absolutely. That's the only reason I lived is because of this shirt.
Great job, buddy.
Thanks.
Mark Nelson coming home in third. Richie Joplin in second. You know, Richie, every time you say you hate this track, you're not good at this track, I know you're going to put on one heck of a show.
Yeah, I don't know. I just got to learn how to be more consistent in this car, and this track is a little bit harder to learn in the line. But old Kyle put a whooping on us there. I did not mean to get into Stephen Gibson. I don't know if I got into him or what, but if I did, I apologize for that. And I let him have his spot back, but still, I didn't mean to get into him.
Well, it was definitely some close racing between you guys, but man, a great job coming home in second. Once again, from now, when you say you're terrible, I'm not going to believe you.
Okay. You can say whatever.
Well, great job tonight, buddy. That was a well-earned podium.
Thank you, Doug.
Richie comes home in second, but Kyle Holden is back in victory lane. Kyle back to victory lane once again. And, man, as Richie said, you put a whooping on him.
I just we have a league race here later on this week as well. So I just want to put some practice in. And whoever built this setup for iRacing, it was just magical for me. It just kind of drove. It never really got too loose, just a little loose enough to where you can kind of rotate through the corner and drive off. So setup felt great.
I did see a couple of times coming out of, I believe it, well, we saw you grab the wall once out of turn 2, and once out of turn 4, you had a little bobble. But I have to say, of all the bobbles we saw tonight, yours were the least.
Yeah, we were just trying to see how far we can, push that gas pedal on exit, and a couple times it caught us. Got the tire started spinning, almost sent us down into the inside wall, but luckily we backed off and saved her. But good race by everybody, and this is a very tough track, so no cautions. Or I think there's only 2 early on, so no cautions for that last stint was pretty cool.
It definitely was. Well, great job, great run, congratulations, and another good win.
I appreciate it, Doug. You have a great night.
Kyle Holden is back in victory lane, and thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hope everybody had as much fun as we did. Don't forget, tomorrow night I will be back in the car. We'll see you then. Have a great night, everybody.